Techie here, bringing you my first tutorial on the Scarlet Monastery one-pull method for Cathedral and Armory. Both of these pulls are slightly modified versions of pulls I've seen on YouTube videos, so shout out to the content creators before me. I do have a few changes on each run that I think make a decent impact on the success and experience gained per hour. So let's go ahead and get started with the Cathedral. Couple of things to go over before we get started. First is important abilities used by mobs. The Scarlet Defenders can interrupt, so make sure they aren't hitting you while you're casting Blizzard. And the Sorcerers will cast Frostbolt and Slow, with Slow being the biggest issue, slowing your movement speed by 50% and lasting roughly 10 seconds. Second, we'll quickly go over gear. High-end gear is not required, but as long as you have some stamina and intellect gear, you will be fine. The only item that you really want to have is your PvP trinket. Being hit by a slow can stop a run dead in its tracks, but with the PvP trinket, you can dispel it and continue the run as normal. Resistance gear is also helpful here. A little bit of frost resistance can make a big difference on the Cathedral pull, as getting hit by even one frostbolt can change the flow of the run dramatically. You don't need too much, but as long as you can sit around 60 frost resistance with ice armor up, you should be fine. This is more of a guideline than a rule, so don't let a lack of frost resistance keep you from attempting this pull. So let's go ahead and get this run started. We always begin with a fresh ice barrier and mana shield as we start moving. Rank 1 Arcane Explosion, the first two mobs around this distance, and then let the first two mobs catch up and Nova all four together. Make sure we have a clear path and blink forward to gain distance. We will continue forwards towards the Cathedral itself, making sure to run up the left side of the staircase as you're least likely to aggro the patrols walking down when you hug the left wall. If this goes smooth, don't worry about blinking again. If you pull something on the way to the door, it's no problem. Just blink again and gain a little bit of extra distance and continue as normal. Open the door and proceed up the right side of the building. Use an Arcane Explosion to pull the mobs that hug the wall. Use Frost Nova on as many mobs as you can. Position yourself on the right side and blink down the hallway. Your shield should be up by now, so reapply both Mana Shield and Ice Barrier as needed. It is possible to get hit by a Frostbolt or a Slow while gathering the building. If you get hit by a Frostbolt, just ignore it and reapply Mana Shield as needed until the Frostbolt debuff goes away. If you get hit by a Slow, you want to use your PvP trinket immediately, as the Slow lasts for 10 plus seconds and you won't survive waiting for it to fall off on its own. As a note, if you get hit by a second Slow throughout the run, you can use Ice Block, although if you don't have Cold Snap off cooldown, then you'll need to reset the run as you need Ice Block to gather them at the end. In my runs, if I get hit by a second Slow at some point, I'll Ice Block out of it and then just reset the run. From this point, our goal is to jump from railing to railing, decreasing our distance traveled while increasing the mob's distance traveled. At 95% of the opportunities we have to make these jumps, we will. Run down the hallway, jump from railing to railing, and blink forward. This is the best place to blink, as you'll get a lot of extra Frostbolts cast if you try to run here. Again, we'll jump onto the railing, but note the two mobs here as they will not pull with the pack, and you'll want to use Arcane Explosion to pull them. If one is a caster, feel free to counterspell the Frostbolt. Around this time, your Ice Barrier should be off cooldown. I recommend using it as it lines up cooldowns later perfectly. Arcane Explosion the pack in the corner to make sure they pull and continue down the hallway. We'll hop from railing to railing, Arcane Explosion the corner pack, and use Blink to try avoiding the pack in the middle as they'll pull with the group. As we move up the stairs, we want to hug the railing on the right so we can break line of sight as soon as possible to avoid Frostbolts. Hop from railing to railing, run down the hallway, and wait for a majority of the mobs to get in the hallway. Doing this will ensure that they all run the longest path and don't cut through the courtyard to get to you. Now we're going to blink forward, refresh our shields, and be ready to counterspell or fire blast this mob as he doesn't always pull with the group. During this pull, I did get hit by a Frostbolt at the very end. Fortunately, the debuff is so short that using a Nova on the group creates enough distance to continue the run. Run all the way over here to outrange all the Frostbolts being cast, and we do not jump the railing here, as it is more likely to get hit by a Frostbolt if you do. Blink forward, run down the staircase while casting Frost Ward, and stand right where I am and wait to Ice Block. As long as RNG wasn't working against you, you should be at this spot with close to max health and shields. If you do have max health and shields, you can drop Ice Block when all mobs are gathered and Nova the group as you run away. If you're low on health or shields, I recommend using a limited invulnerability potion to reduce the chances of getting one shot. After you Nova the group, reapply Ice Barrier on yourself and get ready to Blizzard. As you see, I had a mob resist my Nova. All you have to do is step down and begin the kill as normal. All there is left to do at this point is cast Blizzard, just occasionally moving from the grass to the edge of the fountain. As the mobs get low on health, they'll run to either the waterfall or the fountains. I generally blizzard the pack at the waterfall and Cone of Cold Arcane Explosion the rest. That's how you do Cathedral in one pull. Now let's take a look at the Armory. At the start of Armory, kill the first 2 mobs so the carries have a place to wait, and then work your way to the end of the dungeon. I always use limited invulnerability potions on my Armory runs, so this guide assumes that you have them too, although you can definitely do it without them. You're going to have to use Blink to get past this group. You can hug the right wall to get past this group. Use Ice Barrier and Mana Shield, allow 3 seconds to pass and start the run. Wand the first group, blink past the second group, and Arcane Explosion the single mob on the right. From this point on, you'll want to use rank 1 Arcane Explosion and Cone to Cold to pull everything on the way. There's 1 to 2 mobs in most of the packs who won't pull with the group. Refresh Ice Barrier and Mana Shield on these stairs. Continue using Arcane Explosion and Cold to Cold to pull everything. Use Counterspell to pull this group. Do not refresh Ice Barrier, only Mana Shield. Use rank 1 Arcane Explosion to pull corner mobs. As you get to this pack, you're going to want to refresh your Mana Shield. You'll get a feel for the timing, but blink forward at the very last second. Refresh Ice Barrier, Mana Shield, pull the last corner with an Arcane Explosion, and use Ice Block. We're going to spam our limited invulnerability potion, cast 2 Arcane Explosions and 1 Cone of Cold, Nova the group, use Fire Ward, sheep any resist from defenders, and tank the other resists. It's very important that you make sure that you don't outrange the casters here, because you'll go real quick if you do. Use Blizzard as the Frost Nova has roughly 2 seconds left, and cast 2 to 3 blizzards running forward between casts. As the back of the group starts to run from being low health, blink at a 45-degree angle to the pack and Frost Nova the group. Line up a Flame Strike and a Cone of Cold, and then just AoE them down. Thank you for watching my tutorial video on Scarlet Monastery. If you'd like any particular AoE tutorials in the future, please let me know down in the comments. If you'd like to see this done live, find me on Twitch at TechieKEK, link down below. And if you thought the video was helpful, a like and a follow are the best way to keep me making more. Peace.